Hey gang, Hammer here. There is a new hero coming to Shadow Fight Arena. That hero is June. June is a legendary hero belonging to the Dynasty faction and is the 25th hero added to Shadow Fight Arena. She has obtained a cursed weapon from space called Collapse, which gives her the special powers of chaos and control. She will need to strike a balance between these forces in order to defeat her foes. In this video, I will clearly explain her talents and abilities, analyze her moveset, and offer my general thoughts about how this character will play. At the end, I will show off some gameplay with her in a match against the AI. Now before we begin, I must preface that I've been given an early access version of the update on a test build of the game. As such, everything you see in this video is subject to change. Especially of note is the fact that we've only been given access to 4 of her 5 talents on this test build. She will have all 5 talents on release, but what you see here is not the complete version of June. June is one of the most complex heroes I have seen added to this game, but her abilities are not that difficult to understand once you can grasp the core concept that surrounds her. She has 3 core abilities. Her first unique ability is Collapse Gauge, which replaces the typical Shadow Energy bar. The talent reads, in combat, June can switch between the Chaos form and the Control form. She also has a Collapse Gauge, which is divided into 3 zones: Chaos, Balance, and Control. Using the abilities of the forms, June controls the position of the gauge. This gauge makes her unique in that she doesn't gain or lose energy. Rather, she shifts the gauge to different zones, which affects her in different ways. Now, to explain her forms that were mentioned. The first form we will look at is her Chaos form. It reads, in this form, June can use astral abilities, which move the Collapse Gauge towards Chaos. This is the form that you will begin the match in, and it gives you access to 2 powerful attacks. You can tell she is in this form because her torso glows with purple energy. The first is Astral Embrace, in which she jumps above the opponent's head and slams down a spike of unblockable energy. The other astral ability is called Astral Subversion, in which she slams her fists to the ground and knocks the opponent down with an unblockable pulse of energy. Notice the Collapse Gauge moving towards the left, also known as the Chaos Zone, as she performs these attacks. The second part of her Chaos form ability reads, when Chaos is at a maximum, June will automatically switch to the Control form, and vice versa. Let's define her Control form first. It reads, in this form, the second combo hit with a weapon summons a meteorite and moves the Collapse Gauge towards Control. You can tell that she is in this form because her hands and her knife glow with purple energy. Watch as a meteor hits the opponent when I do an attack string with more than 1 hit. This meteor is unblockable and will break the opponent's block. This meteor hits after the second hit, so only attack strings which have more than 3 hits will benefit from this block break. I will go over her moves after I complete my explanation of her talents. Note that the meteor hits cause the Collapse Gauge to move towards the right, also known as the Control Zone. To reiterate, Chaos form gives her access to her astral abilities, and using those abilities causes the Collapse Gauge to move towards the Chaos Zone. Control form causes meteors to strike the opponent during multi-hit attack strings, and those meteors cause the Collapse Gauge to move towards the Control Zone. If the Collapse Gauge ever reaches maximum Chaos or maximum Control, she will switch forms. Watch as I keep spamming astral abilities, she will automatically switch to Control form when the gauge reaches maximum Chaos. If I keep using attacks in Control form, she will switch to Chaos form. I can switch what form I'm using at any time by clicking the Form Switch button. However, I cannot switch forms when the gauge is at maximum Chaos or maximum Control. Now, what do each of these zones do exactly? The simplest way I can describe it is this. When June is in Control form and the gauge is in the Chaos Zone, the opponent will also get access to meteors while performing multi-hit strings. Their hands begin to glow with the same energy as June. These function the same as June's meteors and will hit you if the opponent performs a multi-hit attack against you. If the gauge is in the balance zone, only June can use these meteors. If the gauge is in the control zone, neither player gets access to meteors. Keep in mind that when you are in control form, any multi-hit attack against you will move the collapse gauge towards control. However, if you are in chaos form, this will not occur. Any multi-hit attacks against you will not affect the position of the gauge. Disregarding talents, chaos form is unaffected by which zone the gauge is in. June's talent tree will add additional effects when the gauge is in each of these zones, but we will overlook those for the moment. So, that is her unique abilities explained. I will now showcase her moveset, followed by the rest of her talents. First up is her basic attack, which is a medium speed 2-hit string. The first hit is a short range mid, dealing 300 damage at level 13. The second hit is similar speed, mid-range, and mid-height, dealing 450 damage for 750 total. She travels forward slightly with each hit in the string. Here it is on block. Here it is with the meteors attached. These meteors deal 675 damage. It doesn't look to anti-air very well unless the opponent is jumping into the medium hitbox height that she has. Next is her low attack. The first hit has medium range and moves her forwards. The second hit has large amounts of range due to her traveling and hits grounded. Both hits look to consistently land after grab, making it the best move to hit grounded opponents. It doesn't have very much pushback on block. Both hits deal 450 damage for 900 damage total. Interestingly, on normal hits, sometimes at close range, the second hit can be blocked even if the first hit lands. There is a gap in the hitbox that prevents it from hitting opponents jumping right next to you, despite it visually looking like it should. It hits around medium height at its max. Here it is with meteors. Her up attack is really good. It is a fast 2-hit string that knocks the opponent down on the second hit, allowing for a follow-up. The best guaranteed follow-ups I know of is a single low attack mid-stage, down astral form mid-stage, and up astral mid-stage. Full down attack in the corner, full special attack in the corner. You can also go for a jump kick into potentially a follow-up there, but it can be avoided. Here it is on block. It looks to potentially allow for the opponent to grab June if this first hit is blocked. Here it is with meteors. The range is very good on it since she travels forward quite a bit. Thankfully, both hits will not land after a grab. Insane combos would be possible if it did. Here's how it looks when trying to anti-air. Next up is her special attack, which has 3 hits, the first of which deals 300 damage in a downward arcing hit that hits grounded, so will hit after a grab. It also does a decent job at anti-airing, but still has a dead spot in its hitbox that will miss the opponent quite often. Here's the first hit on block. The second hit also deals 300 damage in a downward arc with slightly more range than the first. It will also connect after a grab. Here's an example of it anti-airing. Here it is on block. And here it is with meteors with a potential grab follow-up option. The third hit is an upward arcing strike that deals 450 damage. It has a slight delay between the second and third hits. All three hits will not connect after a grab. Next is her heavy attack, which has another deceptive hitbox. It doesn't hit as far as you think it should. The key is to watch where her knife goes and not that extra little bit of purple energy. It will hit the opponent after a grab, but the opponent can do a recovery kick to interrupt it. At max range, it'll hit at about waist height, but if you're up right next to the opponent, it will go over their head and hit their legs from behind. It doesn't work as a follow-up to up attack. It also has limited use hitting grounded opponents, as the knife misses opponents that are lying flat on the ground. I also discovered that it was possible to completely miss the opponent if they were jumping right next to you, since the knife would go around them. Her back attack is a retreating style attack with a single hit and has a pretty large range. It is an upward sweep, so it will hit airborne opponents, and it will hit grounded after a grab, but again, this can be interrupted with a recovery kick. Again, it is subject to dead zones in the hitbox. She does struggle slightly against hitting grounded opponents that have ragdolled though when they are lying flat on the ground. There is not much room with the hitbox to hit the opponent. Last thing to note for her attacks is her kicks, of which she has a standard array of Dynasty kicks with no special kick. Now finally for her talents. Her first level talents are External Support and Inner Peace. External Support restores some of June's health when she hits the opponent with a meteor. For Inner Peace, June gets a global 15% damage increase when the collapse gauge is in the balance zone. For her second level talents, we have Equilibrium. The balance zone becomes larger and the chaos zone becomes smaller. Here's a side-by-side comparison. We also have Brinkmanship. In the chaos zone, astral abilities deal guaranteed critical damage. This causes up astral ability to now knock down when it otherwise didn't. For her third level talents, we have Obscure Symbiosis. June takes no damage while using astral abilities. This, however, does not remove bleed effects. And we also have Meteor Shower. In the control form, heavy attacks that hit the opponent summon a meteorite. This allows you to bypass the 2-hit combo requirement that normally exists in control form. We have our fourth level talents, Parade of Planets and Golden Harmony. Parade of Planets is a cumulative damage stacking ability that occurs on meteors or astral ability hits. Golden Harmony, you can switch between the Chaos form and the control form without a cooldown. Normally there is a 6-second cooldown. Finally, we have her fifth level talents, which I did not get to use in the test build, but thankfully Master Shikata was able to record some footage of these talents at the time of me making this video. The first talent is Dynasty Foundation. The collapse gauge value automatically moves towards the middle of the balance zone when June's health is low. This will allow her to prevent being stuck in chaos form or control form at the maximum ends of the collapse gauge. It will also guarantee she always has access to meteors by moving her out of the control zone. Chaining critical astral abilities with meteors may be possible with this talent. The other is Empress of Chaos. In the control form, the astral ability button shifts the collapse gauge to the maximum chaos. After that, the gauge value temporarily cannot be moved. This talent can only be used once per round. Note there is a visual indicator on the astral ability button that you can do this, but one time per round, you can manually move the gauge to maximum chaos from control form, which gives you an endless stream of meteor attacks for a short duration. Now that I've gone over her talents, I'm going to recommend a certain build to you guys. I'm going to dub it the Cycle of Chaos build. Her first talent is personal preference, but I'm leaning towards external support, since that will be her only method of healing, and it is a nice survivability increase. Additionally, and as you will see, despite Neki intending for us to play in the balance zone, I think optimal play with her will revolve around the chaos zone. Yeah, I'm thinking go with brinkmanship here for the crits. For level 3 talents, again you could choose either. Obscure Symbiosis is a really powerful ability since it allows you to take no damage during astral abilities. However, I'm going to go with Meteor Shower for a reason I will demonstrate in a minute. For level 4, choose Golden Harmony to change between forms instantly. This will allow you to mind game your opponent and also change forms quickly back and forth, spamming both abilities. This is absurdly powerful. Lastly, for level 5, the decision comes down to how easily you think you can land astral abilities. If you're good at landing astral abilities, Dynasty Foundation might be the play since you don't have to worry about being forced into control form. It also allows you to potentially chain astral abilities. If you find using astral abilities difficult, you might want to use Empress of Chaos to manually get the gauge back into the chaos zone after a short duration of being forced to use control form. If you like control form more, either option is good, since it allows you to play with control form more consistently. I'm going to go with Empress of Chaos for this build to allow me to easily put the gauge back into the chaos zone when I choose, but I could easily see this build working great with both options. Our ultimate goal here will be to get to the chaos zone for the critical astral abilities, then quickly cycle between chaos form and control form for block break attacks and critical unblockable abilities, using Golden Harmony. I chose Meteor Shower, by the way, so I have an easy longer range method of switching back to chaos form. Just look at how absurd this is already, and this is without level 5 talents. She might not seem strong to you at first, but I think this character has the chance to be one of the most OP characters in the game. I'll make some closing remarks while I play a match against the AI in the background. First off, I will talk a little bit about her balance. I think it is absolutely crazy that this character can deal 850 plus damage to you for every blocked special attack she performs. That defies all logic to me. The fact that she gets a meteor that deals 375-ish damage on every multi-hit attack she performs is going to be incredibly annoying to deal with. This isn't a random block break. This is going to happen every single time when she is in control form, except for when the gauge is in the control zone. Not to mention that you will have to always be aware of the fact that she can perform an astral ability at nearly any time in the match due to her Golden Harmony talent. This allows her to switch instantly between forms, which is a huge bonus. I already envision this character to be very campy and spammy. Players will be able to spam these meteors endlessly provided they manage their meter properly, which I don't think is going to be that hard. If I could make one switch to try and balance her, I would say to make it so that her meteors only activate on successful hits. I think that would be much more fair than having every single attack she does deal 400 damage or more. Balancing opinions aside, I think she is a very cool and unique character. We haven't seen something quite like the collapse gauge before. I like the idea of being incentivized to manage your meter properly, even if her talents seem to make that pretty easy. The mechanic of the opponent also getting access to the powerful Meteor ability when the collapse gauge is in the Chaos Zone is also a very interesting idea. Her visuals look great, aside from some of her hitboxes on her weapon attacks being deceiving, and her sound design is also awesome. Overall, she will definitely be an addition to the game. I look forward to trying her out, and I hope you all get to soon. Good luck, gang, and take care.